Good evening, good evening, good evening. We are back once again with raising children in the world today. I must say this is a very, very, very interesting topic that we will be talking about. Um, the reason being because we all have children and we go through things and our kids go through things that we don't have the answers to, or we need someone else to give us insight on, or for that matter, we just we just need something. And I'm bringing forth to you today with two of the most beautiful, lovely, amazing, and I'm gonna say God fearing women because they have a heart to serve. They have a heart to serve children that um, comes from so many different backgrounds, and they find themselves being that listening ear or that sound advice or that one that basically helps them find the answer they need. Um, First we have Miss Lolita Jones or Lolita Michelle Jones.
Okay.
Uh, I had the pleasure of meeting her at Shekinah Glory Bible Institute. We didn't really meet, but we ended up connecting.
Yes,
She was living in Illinois
that's correct.
at the time, and the only way we was able to connect was through the Pilates Periscope, and that's how we kind of talked and connected. And then later on, she ended up moving to Memphis. Um, Beautiful lady. And then we have Miss
Thank
Alison
you.
Jones. Now, uh, I'm smiling so hard with this one because when me and Allison first met, it didn't go over well. And I was kind of still stuck in my mess. And my children were going to a mentoring program that her church was hosting. And I still don't remember signing the papers for my kids to go, but they went. And at that time, I was working two jobs, and I was getting ready to go to sleep to get ready to go to work to the next job. And the boys walked around the house, Mama, I want you to meet my mentor, Miss Allison. What? We ain't gonna tell you what I said. So, cause I'm working on my curse words, y'all. I'm trying to do good, but today the devil tested me. Um, but when she came in, it was, hey, how you doing? Uh, Bye.
So
That
true.
was it. And where we ended up connecting is when my house caught on fire, and I was at the hospital with my father, my biological father. Um, and I almost lost three boys that day because one was up. No, actually, all four of my boys almost lost that day. One was up, and the other three were asleep. And somehow, some way, the bed caught on fire, and they would not wake up their older brother. And I'm kept screaming in the phone, "Wake up your brother!" Need I mind you, I did not have a car at this time. I kept screaming, "Wake up your brother! Wake up your brother!" I couldn't get to them, so I called the next door neighbor, and all I heard was, Oh my God, get out, get out, get out. Lost everything. And even though the relationship between me and Allison was rocky, I called her. I told her, I said, look, the house caught on fire. Um, we're done. And she said, no. She said, I'll be there in just a minute. And her and her husband showed up. Her and her husband helped transport my kids, not before making sure we had some clothes on our backs. Well, the boys had some clothes in the back because they didn't have no shoes. They didn't have nothing. And it was January.
It was cold.
And she made sure they had clothes, they had what they need on them, and she transported them to my dad's house, which was in Bolivar, Tennessee. And she stayed with us. And oh my God, she went to work. And I couldn't think of, well, God couldn't think of no better person to
Oh,
be on this platform tonight. Um,
thank you.
on this particular subject. Um, Now that's my introduction of them. So I'm gonna let them tell you a little bit about who they are. So go ahead, Miss Lolita, take it away.
I don't know where to start. Um, so my name is Lolita Jones, and I'm originally from Decatur, Illinois. Uh, Lived in Illinois and Dyersburg, Tennessee, and moved to Memphis. I'm back in Dyersburg now. I served under Bishop Wesley John Arije, a Pavilion of Hope, for 15, maybe 16 years. Um, and I'm here now with you.
So I know you're in Dyersburg now. You know you're close to me, so I'm gonna leave that under the table.
Uh huh.
Okay, come on, Miss Allison.
My husband Brett and I got married 24 years ago, and he moved to Jackson, Tennessee, and I followed him. And we thought we would never stay in Jackson, Tennessee. And 24 years later, we are still here. We have a 17-year-old and a 13-year-old, and I'm the family minister at Skyline. I was the children's minister for about 11 years and just changed to family ministry. So
You didn't tell me that part.
that just happened.
Wow, ladies, ladies, ladies. So let's jump right on in. So, um, ooh, this particular subject is kind of touchy to me because um, we have lost so many children to some form of violence. We got gang violence. We just got, you know, parents abusing children, killing them, raping them,
Mhm.
um, suicide, kids in gangs, and all of that. Where do you think, besides keep praying to God, where do you think we need to start in trying to reach our children or trying to help families with their children? Because that's a touchy subject with people. And Allison, you know that from firsthand experience.
Yes.
That's a real touchy subject because we're getting in society today. The TV, the gaming systems are raising our children because parents
Social
have to
media.
work one or two jobs to ensure they have a one income just to be able to survive right now. Where do you think we could start to at least try to help rectify some of these problems?
Do you want to start, Lolita?
Now I'm gonna piggyback off of you on that one.
Okay. Um, if I'm being completely honest, I have to put my phone down too. So it's not just kids that are dependent on the electronics and escaping through our phones is something that I see more often again and again. Going to a restaurant, people are not engaging. They're on their phones. All three, all four, all five are on different kind of devices. Not talking. So as a mom, I've got to put down the phone and I've got to say, you are the priority, not that thing right there. And so for part of it is me myself putting down the electronics. And as a parent, I know my kids might fight me back on stuff, and I still have to stick with what I said. So
Mm-hmm.
many parents nowadays, they have a kid that throws a tantrum, and so they give in. And instead of doing what's best for their child, they do what's easiest at the moment. So I think being able to evaluate that and say, this is going to stink when my kids throw in a fit in Walmart or at the restaurant or wherever because I'm not letting them have their phone. But what's best for them is to learn not to be dependent on that thing. And so I'm going to deal with the fit or the attitude or whatever it is to get them off the phone and engage in eye contact and being with the people they're with.
Okay. You have anything to add, Miss Lolita?
Yes. So I'm going to add to that that um, it does start at home. It starts with us first. What kind of reflection uh, are they on us? What kind of examples are we setting on them? Um, it still takes a village to raise a child. Parents can't do it by themselves anymore. It's going to, like you said, Allison, it's going most parents are working one or two jobs and it leaves their children at home, and they're on the phones, they're on the games, they're talking to friends, they're, you know, getting all these ideas of life. But one thing we have to do is start at home. We can't be best friends with our kids. When you said about they throwing a temper tantrum, no, let them. A lot of parents don't want to. They don't want to discipline their children because of the way they were. They want to make their children's lives better than what they thought, better than it was for them. You know, well, when I grew up, I got whippings with this. I ain't gonna do my kids like that. I'm not gonna do my children like that. I'm not gonna raise my children like that. And um, I'm grateful that I was raised the way that I was raised. Um, I made a lot of mistakes raising my children. Discipline. I did more yelling than I did anything else. You can work and provide for a child every day of their lives. Okay, and when you work and you can give them everything in the world, but where's your time? Where is the what are you dispersing in them? What are you downloading in them? What are you pouring into them? you know it starts at home. What are we doing at home? I've seen many parents give their children everything but never their time. you know I've seen people give their children everything but never their love, and then there goes the suicide and there goes the abandonment issues. um, so I believe it starts at home.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. And you just hit me on the head with that one, Lolita. Um, that's what I told my kids. I wanted their lives to be a whole lot better than mine's. Because a lot of mine's, and I know my mom is watching, so mama, don't you call me fussing. Um, a lot of mine's was I felt abandonment issues. I didn't know it then when I was growing up that that's what I was dealing with was abandonment issues. But it wasn't until I got older and I started to see the same scenarios in my children.
Yeah.
And I never I never was their best friend because I just didn't play that. My kids used to tell people that they mama crazy. And
Ah,
that's what that I mean that's what they tell me. You don't want to talk to my mama. My mama crazy. And then even though the school teachers and I'm gonna hit that subject too. Even the school teacher said, "I know you ain't here sitting up here acting a fool, and you know how your mama is. Your mama ain't got the sense God give her. She will come up in here and flat foot embarrass you, tear your butt up, and she don't care." And but it was later on as my kids gotten older, I was slapped with, "You thought more about your job than you
yep.
did by spending time with us. You
Mm.
Yes.
thought more about this than this." And one of my kids hit me with, "You ain't never showed up to now one of my volleyball games, but you here you go with these boys or whatever they got going on." I'm like, mm, mm. But when she got inducted into the honor society, mama was there. When she had her veteran program, mama was there. When she had her school play, mama was there.
Yeah.
And they forget that. And I agree about the cellular device.
I don't think you can overestimate the power of showing up um, for any child.
Mm-hmm.
Showing up to a game, showing up to a play, showing up to an award ceremony, showing up shows love even if their ears can't hear it at that time. And I think some of these kids, um, they have a hard time hearing that when they're not hearing it consistently from their home. And so when you show up at something, it ignites something that lets them know there's somebody out there. Um, and even if they can't understand then that that's love, I think they will come around to go, you know what, Miss Lolita was at that, whatever that is. It
Mm-hmm.
made a difference when Miss Latanya showed up for this. And so I can't stress how much showing up for those things, asking them about it, asking about their instrument that they're playing or the play they're in
Yes.
or things like that lets them know that they're not invisible. Because I think so much of middle school and some of high school for kids is just trying to not get noticed for some. And so when you're that adult that's saying, "Hey, I'm noticing you," I think, if I'm completely honest, I think that's adults nowadays too. I saw a gentleman today, and he just kind of smiled, and I said, "You know what? You have a beautiful smile." And he turned around, looked at me, and said, "Thank you." And I thought, that doesn't. It's not hard to do that, but we don't acknowledge people, especially now after COVID. It's like, you're breathing near me, you're gonna kill me. So just
Yeah.
those conversations of connecting with humans, whew, I think they're big right now.
Yes. Um, Allison, uh, I can ask you this question because I know your babies personally. They
Mhm,
my babies.
mhm,
Um, Even though you chose to homeschool them,
mhm.
how difficult with some of the things that are changing in society today, how difficult is it for you to keep them focused on a goal that they have set themselves for themselves?
Um, I think for us, a lot of it is, I've never, I'm sure there are people out there. I've not been the one to hear, "I really regretted having extra time with my kids." And so for us, it was, we're going to pour into them as much as we can, as long as we can.
Hmm.
And so, in that, we started young with doing the things that we thought were really important to keep them um, on focus, I guess is the best thing that you could say. We started like from the very beginning in their car seats. If I would hear an ambulance, I would say, "Hey, let's take a minute and pray for whoever's in that ambulance. Let's pray for the doctors and the nurses that are going to be touching them. Let's pray for the EMTs that are in that car, because I wanted to instill in them that power of prayer,
That's good.
like that God is always wanting to listen, and you bring anything to him at any time and he's there. And then we started really young. Every night, still, my girls are 17 and 13. We read scripture together and we pray together. All four of us pray. Um, is it impossible to start that when they're old? No. Is it going to be harder? Yeah. But that doesn't mean hard is something to give up on. I mean, we all know this as moms. Like, hard is usually when you're doing something right and you've got kids
Mhm.
going, I don't want to, or can we not? But when we don't do that, like if Brett and I are away for some time, our girls are still going to send us that sleep good, sweet dreams, night night, that, and I love you, that we still do every night. And so for us, it's consistency. Like, that's the really big thing. I can't jump in 10 years later and go, your focus should have been on prayer.
Yeah.
Well, I can, but it's going to be a lot harder. So if you have little ones at home, start it now with those things. Start it with praying every night. Start it with telling them they can pray anywhere and everywhere. I think having this, I'm 45. I don't have a perfect view of God, but my view of God has changed so much since I was younger and little. And so growing that vision of what God is and how he loves and what he wants for you, and his promises for you, I think instilling those in your kids at any age is valuable. But if they hear it young and it is echoed again and again and again by the people you bring into their lives, it means something.
Yes. I do agree. Lolita, your
Yes,
job.
ma'am.
Your
What's that?
job. Um, how, even though these kids comes from these various backgrounds at your job, how many times, and I know the answer to this question, but that's just why I can answer it. How many times you found yourself going somewhere into a place and praying for that child because you saw something on them, or they said something that you just had to immediately just go and pray?
It's all the time because I'm called to that area. I'm called to the young people. I'm called to the children of this decade. I'm called to them. And no matter how much I run, they find me. I I I grew up and I used to say this seriously. I said I hated kids. I would babysit kids. I said, don't move, don't talk, don't do anything. I can't stand kids. And never knowing, that was going to be the ministry that I was actually going to go in. And so when I moved to Illinois, I noticed that that's where it really started. Um, I moved to Illinois, and it was nothing but young people. And in Illinois, they call me Mama Lo. You know, I have mainly boys. I have about five or six different, five or six boys other than my son, and I have about the same amount of females, the girls there. And oh man, we've cried together. Um, they've come and they spill out. A lot of them spill out. They can't talk about certain things at home because of the environment at home. A lot of these kids come from, um, some of them come from abusive homes. Some of them come from, um, I don't know how to say this. They come from homes where the expectations of them are too high. Um, some come from homes that are broken. Uh, some comes where nobody makes it at all, you know,
Yeah.
and they're the last on the lifeline, And though we broke barriers there, it followed me all the way to Memphis. Now, it really, really changed in Memphis. It really did. Now, I've never seen so many boys in Illinois where they had all these emotions build up because, the number one thing everybody always have been told was boys don't cry, you know, toughen it up, you don't cry, tough, that's what the boys were always taught. But they need to release those emotions. That
Mhm.
doesn't make them weak. That does not make them less of a man. They need to release those emotions so they know how to interact with emotions, so they know how to react to the emotions. Because if they don't, they bottle up and they explode and bad things happen. So someone has to be there, is uh, kind of a sister mother type, uh, you know, oh y'all, a sister
All right.
mother type, you know, mentor to them. Now in Memphis, I went to the roughest of the roughest in Memphis. In Memphis, um, in Memphis, you had the kind that ran the mothers. The dads weren't in the home, but they told their mothers what to do. Or when they're around elders, I've never seen so many rude young people in my life until I moved there. And I realized it didn't. I mean, it's what they're taught, it's what they're around. So their environment sometimes, the environments of these kids sometimes are so harsh. You know,
Yes.
they need an escape route. They need somewhere to go to release or to be them or to honestly be able to smile without the hurt. And you got kids going to school who are being bullied at all ages, um, and they go somewhere and they meet someone per se like me that shows appreciation, and that's all they have.
Yeah.
You never know what a person goes through. You never know what these children are going through. And I always try to instill in the other ones, show each other respect. You never know what a person's going through. When I was in Memphis, someone, shot up Kroger's, in Kroger's and killed some people, you know. And it made me think. I said, we got to do better about how we treat people. The boy could have, no one really knows what made him click or what makes any of the young people, click and go off onto killing sprees or anything like that. But it starts with their emotions. A lot of it starts with their emotions. They bottle up, they have no way to release it, and they have no one to release it to.
Mhm.
Now, when I moved back here, I went to work, and immediately I wasn't in there for. I've only been here. Uh, I say about a good month. I came, in December, but I got very close to the young people very quick. And there was one girl. She always makes these faces at me, and I mess with her when she comes into work. And this day she wasn't doing anything, and I said, "Hey, what's wrong with you?" She never would say a word. She just shook her head. And then I just started praying inside. I was like, okay, Lord, what's going on with this child right here? Because she's always happy. She's always talking. And every word was mm, no real words coming out. And I said, something's wrong. And I said, hey, I called her name. I said, can I pray for you for a minute? And she shook her head. We went to the back and I started praying for her. And the Lord just gave me things to say. And the girl just broke down in my arms. I mean, almost on her knees, just broke down, And they need to know that there's somebody out there that cares and that God sends people to them that cares, that they're never alone. They're not the only ones who go through what they're going through. Um, and I think that the parents get so busy at times doing other things, doing the work and things. We don't pay attention enough. And they
Yeah.
have to go outside home to find what they
Yes.
need.
Yes. I have found myself, and I know Allison's face starts snickering at this part. I have found myself. I've got, I don't know, umpteen hundred children, and I can't name how many. I half of them name I forget because I can't keep them straight because and the way they come attracted to me, and watch this, they came attracted to me through my children. Now my children hard. We being transparent, honest. My children hard headed.
What?
Man,
That's
what
everywhere.
they hard headed. They do sometimes they act like they do what they want. They don't listen. When I tell them to do something, they don't do it. So I play dumb like them when they need money for something. I act like I don't know what they talking about because I give them what they give me. I ignore them. Um, I as in our terms, I don't feed the behavior. I ignore it. So when we they keep on and then they be like, "All right, mama, you told me to do." I said, "I sure did." Well, I'm gonna get this done. So, yeah. And every time I ask them to do something, they want to ask me to do something. So, but when their friends are in trouble, when their friends need help, they'll come up to me, and I love their spirit because they are all of them are some beautiful souls. I'm
Yes.
telling you, they are beautiful souls, and they try to give the best advice that they can, and they're like, "You need to talk to my mom." And the friends be like, "No, your mama mean and crazy." This, you need to talk to my mama.
Talk to her. Yep.
And when they come, this is the first thing they do. They don't know how to communicate.
Yeah. Yeah. With our after school mentoring program, I said we have got to help these kids learn how to deal with their emotions, to recognize them, to deal with them, because they'll say, "Well, I hate so and so," and you can do that. I don't hate them. Well, I just want to fight them, and I'd go, "You can't fight everybody in your life. You can't turn to
Tire
fist
yourself
every
out.
time somebody gets upset with you." There are people that I don't really get along with, and I don't fist fight any of them. I promise you. And so, how do you say ignore them, like you're talking about that, like when it comes to somebody trying to bait you into something, you don't have to be a part of that. The one thing that you are in charge of is how you respond to what people
Yeah.
try to do to you. So
Yes, and I agree with you. And because the only thing they know how to respond is to fight because that's all they see.
that's all that's seen consistently.
That's all they see.
Hmm.
I'm gonna tell you, I never forget a few months ago, my son, one of my boys, got into an argument, and this is a true statement. My son got into an altercation. Well, I knew one of the boys. So I said, "Look, you need to cut this mess out because it don't make no sense." Well, he's got one of his friends that was a female, and social media beef, and that's a topic we're going to hit. Social media,
Hmm.
bullies.
Hmm.
Oh, they was big, bad, and all that. And then they said, "Well, we're gonna beat your mama." Why did the child put that in there? So I kind of nicely, politely said, "Young lady, look, this is not ladylike. You don't need to do this and that and the other." I'm really trying to talk to her nice, not one curse word, Allison, not one.
Yeah.
Uh, and the next thing I know, all the siblings got involved in it. Every last one of them, except for my youngest, but everybody got involved. The next thing I know, they was meeting up to fight. I told them, I said, "I'm gonna tell you something." I said, "If y'all leave my house to go fight, trust and believe I'm gonna have the cops to come pick y'all tails up, and I'm gonna leave you there because I told you not to do it. Words are just words.
Hmm.
Social media bullies ain't where it's at, but words are just words. Please tell me why they ended up going to the park and fighting." And I did exactly like I said I was. Call cops. But one of the parents posted on there, "I had a gun waiting for the mama." Your child is in mess.
Hmm.
Your child is posting this stuff where you can see this.
Mm-hmm.
Your child left your house to go fight somebody else, and all you got to say was, "You had a gun waiting on the mama."
Promoting it.
This is what these kids are dealing with.
Yeah. It's a total, and this is just my humble opinion. I'm not a doctor. I'm not anything. I'm just a mom. It's a total breakdown of respect in our society for anyone and everyone.
Yeah.
You just say the word right there.
Hmm.
You just say the word.
Yep. It's and it's unbelievable how I've seen it flourish. And I think, how on earth is that okay in your mind? Um, and it,
And they will be the first one posting,
uh-huh,
"Free my son. He done nothing wrong." Knowing little JJ just went around that corner and robbed that liquor store. He got him on camera. So why you want him free if this is what he's doing? And then we want to wait. Ah, mm, we want to wait till our children get in some trouble to want to start going to God, then want to pray, want everybody to go running to the churches, want the churches to pray for our children and stuff like that. But where was your praying at before he got in trouble?
right.
Want to be sitting there smoking weed and drinking with your children,
The best friend.
or better yet, I know I'm finna hear some backlash from this one. Letting your child sell weed so you can pay the rent and all, keep the bills
Mm-mm.
paid, and have letting your child go out and sell while you sitting on the couch watching your soap operas, watching Judge Judy, or watching Love and Hip Hop reruns, or going all the way through the season paying. Come on now.
But I think a lot of that, again, is not even respecting ourselves enough.
Goes back to the parents.
So, I have to show that I respect myself enough. That is this trickle down effect of, you respect elders, you respect people in your life, and then
Yeah.
you respect your teachers. And because they are not your personal pin cushions, you respect the principal. You're not talking back because mama never let you talk back to her in the first place. So you learned that respect of people that are in your life that you talk to with respect.
Yes, and we being transparent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very.
I told my son one day, he got started talking crazy. I said, "Boy, I'm gonna give you a 5 finger discount from the back. That means I'm gonna backhand the taste out of his mouth, because you're not gonna talk to me anyway. You got to stand up to your children.
Mm-hmm.
You got to take back what is yours in the first place, because God only give them to us for a borrowed amount of time.
Yes. And
And
I'll
you got
say this, with our ministry, like, if I would discipline it in my children, I'm going to discipline it in any of the kids that I come across.
Yes, you
So
will.
I'm not going to let it happen this way with my kids. I'm not going to let it happen this way with your kids. And when you set those boundaries, it's almost like their respect for you grows, because you're not just letting them get away with anything. You're saying, you matter, and so I'm not going to let you get away with that anymore.
Yes,
Maybe
and
mom would, I'm not going to let you.
I want I want this audience to also know, and this is what's so dynamic about this platform. Both of y'all have something in common. Y'all just don't deal with y'all's race. Neither one of
No.
y'all do.
No.
Y'all are
All
so,
races.
y'all so diverse. When kids come to you, it's of all background, creed, and color,
Yes.
because y'all see none of that. Only thing y'all see is LOVE.
Yes.
Exactly.
And for Allison, her work speaks for herself, because I got kids right now. They're like, "Mama, I need to go see Aunt Alison. I ain't seen her. Look, she ain't playing with COVID now. You ain't going over there too quick."
Mm-hmm.
But that's her. My kids had my kids actually got a bed over her house.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I'm sending
how,
mine over
man. Look, let me tell you. So she has been a part of my kid's life for some years, and my youngest child was a baby,
Yes.
and he always wanted to go where she was at through fits and everything. And the time we moved back to Jackson, the first thing she said is, "Where's my Ray Ray? He's old enough now."
He can come. Yep.
And he did. And that's the thing. Um, One subject I really, really want both of y'all to help to expound on is a solution to turn around the how can I put this? The situation to turn around the culture of what our children be teaching are being taught now.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why that subject is because I got to be transparent once more. And everybody who's watching, I can't speak on nobody else's life.
Right.
This is not all about me, 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 me. This is about things I went through because I cannot tell nobody else's story. The only story I can tell or testimony I can tell is my own. So please don't think this is all about me because we're trying to be transparent to show that actual people goes through these situations. Um, as for me, and Allison, you witnessed this. I was working two jobs and I had very little time in between the jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I was a supervisor in one and I wasn't at the other. And there came a point in time, and I'm just being transparent as I can be. I pray. I said, God, I'm tired of this. There was times that I didn't even know if I was gonna be at home when my kids get out of school because my schedule says 7 to 3. But if somebody call in, guess where I'm at? I'm stuck at work. And I had to call Alison. Alison, can you go get so and so? Or Alison, so and so is sick and I can't leave. Can you go? And Alison, I don't know if you remember this. You said God is going to bless you where you won't have to deal with this no more. And I believe it was like what during the pandemic when everything shut down and we had to shelter in place.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is when I called Allison and told Allison I got a job offer and it's a promotion. She says, "Ooh wee, yay!" She said, "That means no more nights." I said, "That means no more nights." She said, "Do
Yep.
that mean no more weekends?" I said, "That means no more weekends." She said,
Yep.
"Straight through it." I said, "Yes." She said, "Yes, God, you answered my prayer."
Mm-hmm.
How can we show people that this is possible? How can we help people to make things like this possible? We can pray all day. And I'm going to tell you something. It says faith without work is dead. We can have the faith for them, but we cannot do the work for them.
Very
So,
true.
how can we bring them to a point that they will have this desire for themselves to do better and move forward and have an abundant life on earth without the stealing, the robbing, the mm, falsifying stuff to get it where it's got to go? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Uh, how can we get them there? How what can we set in place or put out there in the atmosphere to help them to get to that place?
Lolita, do you want to share?
there. I'm gonna say that it's gonna take some people to be like us transparent. It's going to take some people to open up and be real. It's going to take some, ain't no more sweeping stuff up under the rug and acting like life is perfect, you know. We can't pretend that all the time everything is going to go peachy, because we're telling them a lie. We're asking them to live a lie when we're doing that. We got to live by example. We have to show them by example. When it's one thing that God always told me was, when you think nobody's watching, everybody's watching. So you always keep that in mind, that your reactions to everything, somebody's always watching, somebody's always learning,
Mm-hmm.
somebody's always observing. We also have to have a point where we're not scared to reach out. We have to be able, I mean, because my kids, my I got good kids. Have they always been good? We've all, everybody have their kids where they're, they do some things that they shouldn't have done. But I can't take credit for all that. I had a village.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we can't be like, okay, Allison, if you let your children come over and they jump on my couch like it's their bed,
Right.
and if you don't want me to discipline them, don't bring them there.
Exactly.
If you don't want me to say anything to them, don't bring them there.
Yep.
I'm going to treat them like they're my kids. I
Mm-hmm.
don't abuse my kids. I'm a woman full of love.
Yes.
Um, that's one thing I do the best, is to love. That's all I really know how to do. I don't go to bed with grudges. I live in peace. Has it always been that way? No, it hasn't. Someone had to show me how to do it. And yes, I still got some areas. But the main thing is to show these kids, show these young people,
Mm-hmm.
it's all right to fail. It's all right uh not make, first place. It's not, everything's okay. We're not going to make everything perfect every day. We're not going to do everything perfect every day. Everybody's not going to like us every day. Everybody's not going to receive us every day.
Mm-hmm.
We have to show them through example. It has to be through example. How else can they learn?
Yes.
Go ahead, Alice.
Mhm. I've told all my kids, you're an example. It's your choice, or if you're a good or a bad one.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, people are always watching. And I think, when we share with our kids, I'm praying with you, also sharing those answered prayers like, hey, I prayed for this, and this is how God has answered
Yes.
this. Because
Yes.
they know
Yes.
we're praying, but when they don't hear those answers or feel like there is answers, it's almost like, well, what's the point? And so when I say, have been praying for this for you, and this is how I think God answered it for you. Because if I was in charge of the world, things would not be the same. But Lord, I am so grateful I am not in charge of
Not in
this world.
charge.
He has
Yes.
been.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It is not how I planned it. It is not how I thought things should have been. And they are far better than I could have dreamed or imagined.
Yes. Yes.
He's good, period. And
Yes, he
his
is.
goodness
Yes.
shows every day. And so to remind our kids of that, and the voices, anybody that comes into their life, I have prayed so many times that those echoes they hear are speaking God's love and God's truth. I know people are going to come into their lives that are not me. I know my voice is going to get smaller at different times in their lives, but I just pray those people that are coming in are echoing God's love and truth to them.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
One more thing, that you said something, and I don't know exactly what it was. The first thing I thought about was choices. You know, God gave us free will. They say, why does this happen? Why does this happen? Why does He let this happen? He gave us free will. So
Yeah.
therefore, we have choices to make in our everyday lives. They have to know they have choices. And
Yes.
in their path of choices, there's a path of consequences or blessings. You have choices to make, free will of choices. Choices that if you hate someone for what they have, it's a lot of kids too. I gotta go back up a little bit. I'm sorry. It's a lot of kids who don't have, the kids that were brought up in the broken homes that don't have, and
Mm,
they see the kids that have and they get jealous. And then that's the temptation or the urge or the choice of wanting to get what they have
yes.
and go and get it any kind of way they can. Um, Somebody is always seeing those reactions. And I think a lot of times adults are seeing these things and people, you can see them roll off of these kids, and they're turning the cheeks, they're turning the other way. It's not my business, or it's not my place. And that
Yes.
child grows up with those emotions going up, thinking they can take whatever they want as they get older to get what they want to get.
Mm,
We have got to stop turning the cheek. We have got to stop turning our heads. I'm not saying turn the cheek the bad way,
right.
but turning our heads to the things that we're seeing that these kids are doing, and let's deal with them together,
Yes.
everybody.
Yes. I'm gonna be transparent again. So you talking about broken homes, and both of y'all had brought this subject up. I have lost custody of my kids 9 times to DCS
Wow.
custody. The last time I was told, well, the last major time I was told that I would never get custody of my kids back, no matter what I did or whatever. And with that being said, I'm gonna tell you something. God, when God says something, can't no man change. But in that retrospect, what they suffered and went through, being without me for that length of time, some would think that my kids would reject me, would hate me, didn't want anything to do with me or anything. But because I fought with everything I had and everything I believed in, I prayed countless nights, tears streaming down my face, missing my baby. Contemplated. Now watch me with this. Contemplated. Well, when I get my kids this time, I'm gonna take them somewhere, and I'm gonna kill all of us, and we ain't got to worry about this no more. I won't have to worry about nobody else taking my kids. This is somebody who's been in the church just about biggest majority of their lives. This is somebody who been in the military. Who, as they say, you're supposed to be strong because of the perspective of what people was watching to see in me. People was watching me failing. Matter of fact, I had one of my kids' father hoping that I was going to fail, so he would not have to pay child support for their child anymore. I've had all these things. Hmm. Now, I'm not saying what my kids saying. I'm telling you what they tell me. Mama, you're a blessing.
Mm,
I'm glad you didn't give up. Mama, I'm glad you fight. You fight. Even
Mhm.
in my weak moments, I got one child here now. He'll see me down, and the next thing you know, he'll been and went in there and prayed, and I prayed him up on a shout, and I shout into a worship song. He does all of that, and then I can feel it. I can feel it strongly with him, and then he'll come back and tell you, "Hey, mom, you all right?" I said, "I'm getting better, baby." Okay, so I ain't done yet, and he'll go back. Is what your kids see is what make it blessed. When I fought depression for years, I ain't completely over it, but I'm a whole lot better than what I used to be. Depression, suicide attempts, giving up, losing hope, all of that. And God saw fit to put this mandate on me to try to help somebody else. Even in dealing with some depression states, I find myself around kids. And I heard one of them say, I just want to make it. I just want to live. God, why you got me right here with this child saying all he want to do is live?
Mhm.
We got,
So you can show them how to fight.
and I do my best.
Mhm.
But when you got parents saying you ain't good for nothing, get your lazy so and so. I'm tired of looking at you, won't show up to nothing they're doing. The only face them kids, I had one kid say the only face I could always say I always see is Miss Latanya.
You're showing up.
And I don't, and when they do hard work and stuff, I blesses them. Am I got money like that? No, I ain't got money like that because I struggle to pay my bills myself.
Mhm.
But I blesses them with whatever we are doing at the, whatever I have in my pockets right now, I put it in that. And Mr. Edward Moses Jr., I do agree. He said we need to teach our kids spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
That's my brother.
Yes.
He is so right.
Thank you, Edward.
You saying that about thinking about what you were going to do, I thought, Satan, he wants to convince us of all the things that are destructive and death and um, anything that could harm.
Hmm.
And he makes it seem freeing or that it would feel good. And he is such a liar. And if we can't identify that, that's when we start to fall under those lies of, it might be easier or quicker or whatever the answer is that we're looking for at that time. So knowing that if it's going against God's word,
Yeah, and we got to remember that life and death is in the power of the tongue.
yes.
Yes.
Watch what you speak on your child.
Yes.
Watch what you speak on any child. And this has
Yes.
been my conviction because I want to sit there and say, especially my little grandson, he's 2 year old, and that little joker just in there everything half the time, and he doing something, and I'm like, get your
Mm.
boy, get your butt in there somewhere, sit down, and quit playing, or leave that thing alone, boy. And I said, and then I had to place it that instead of you so bad, you such a 2 year old. I'm learning.
Mhm.
I'm learning.
Aren't you glad he's patient with us forever? Like, he doesn't say, I'm giving you until you're 40 and then I'm done. He says,
Yeah.
every day, my mercies are new every day.
Every day.
And I'm looking like this because I'm gonna tell anybody I'm honest and I'm straightforward with it. I'm a mess from the flow to the head. I'm toe up from the flow up. I'm not gonna even lie to y'all.
Mhm.
Every day is a learning process for me.
Mhm.
Every time every time something frustrates me or anything, I be want to snap. And yes, and I'm gonna tell you something. I'm locked and loaded 24/7. I got a 9 on my side. His name is JJ. But and I'm licensed to carry. But the reason for me saying that is this: even though I'm locked and loaded, I use this first.
Yes. Got to use wisdom.
I use this first.
Yeah.
I pray. Now God gave us common sense too, but I do a lot of praying, especially when I go in some of these neighborhoods. You never know what you get.
Mhm.
When I travel at night, you never know what you get. But because I'm tore up from the flow up, I got enough love and respect in my heart not to do anything. I had a young lady yesterday, and my spirit was so disturbed by it that this young man tried to kill her. The police officers kind of treated like, pretty much like, well, you got what you deserve kind of type deal. The people from the rap, the domestic violence, kind of say, well, it ain't really much we can do.
Mm.
So they expected her to go back to her apartment that he broke into. They did not catch him. He's still out there, but expected her to go back to this. And I looked, I said, I just started rocking. My kids will tell you when I start rocking, that means that prayer's going on because I rock. And I started rocking. So I called my mom. I talked to my mom about it. And before I knew it, I went and put her in the hotel room and I gave her the money for her to eat off of. I said, you need this time to reflect.
Mhm.
You need to watch who your friends are. Because if you had real true friends, you will be with them instead of here with me.
Yeah.
I told her, call your mama. My mama would understand. So I said, call your mother. I said, yes, I'm gonna be praying with you and I'm finna pray over you. But you need to call your mama. Reconcile, because it's a different story. What y'all had before ain't nothing, got nothing to do with right now. Because she could have lost her. She could have been making funeral
Right.
arrangements for her child tonight. She would be trying to understand how did this happen to her child. And the one excuse that he's used, my mama's dead and gone. I ain't have nobody to teach me. I'm sorry. That is not an excuse. You have people that have lost their mother at such a young age that's ministers, pastors, doctors, lawyers, judges. Give me something better than that. Well, daddy wasn't there. Still no excuse.
Right. But I think when we give in to our own will, we will use whatever excuse we can come up with to justify what we want to do. And Miss Lolita mentioned it, like, I just want to love people. And my prayer, um, almost every night, is that God gives me eyes to see people as He sees them.
Yes,
Mm.
that's
Because when
it.
I see them as cherished brothers and sisters, it changes how I want to treat them.
Mm.
That's it.
And that's what you do. That is exactly what, and I can tell you right now, that's exactly what you do. Because you could have turned your head and looked at me and said, Josh, I ain't going back over that woman's house no more. That woman crazy. It even went to the point that, and I hope he's watching. I hope he sees this. It even went to the point of Josh coming over to the house, and we sitting out there just sitting up there just talking, and like it wasn't no tomorrow, and develop a friendship.
Mhm. It takes time.
I developed a lasting connection
Mhm.
with Alison, her family, her
Mhm.
church family,
Mhm.
um, the pastor Josh. We broke those barriers,
Yes,
and it can be done.
it can. It takes time.
Yes, it can be done. And plus, I called every one of Josh's children out what they were gonna be. He thought he never was gonna have that boy, and I told him he was gonna have that boy.
He has his boy.
He got his boy.
Mhm.
But the thing of it is, we have to start learning as men and women of God that we can't look at the circumstances as a problem. We need to look at the circumstances and come up with a solution
Yes.
because we're having too many funerals
Oh,
for
yes.
these young people, those with violence and all of that. And Is there any last words, Miss Lolita?
Well, um, if there are any young people watching, I just want to say I want to reach out to some of the females. Know your worth. Know your worth.
Yes.
You're worth more than you give credit for. You're given credit for. Um, a lot of times, um, I've witnessed with these gang activities, they are huddling up with the females. They're being engaged at their houses, using the vehicles. Know your worth. Know that you're better than that. Know that um, you are loved, you are beautiful, you are everything that God created you to be. Uh, a man does not perfect you, a man does not make you beautiful. A man can't fulfill or make you complete. He cannot do those things. Know your worth and protect your surroundings of your children. Protect the surrounding of your children. And
Mhm.
then for the men, the young men that are watching, the streets is not your family. Been there, done that. The street is not your family. The streets will turn their back on you like a cold winter night. It sounds like a book, don't it? Like a cold winter night. It'll turn its back on you very quick. The streets will do that to you. The brotherhoods that you've made, when you go to jail, they're gonna be gone.
Yes.
When you're six deep, they still gonna be doing what they're doing.
Mm.
You
Yes.
have to know your worth as well. Young people, this is not the way that the Lord designed this world to be. He did not design you to be in depression, to
Mm.
be oppressed, to be suicidal. Parents, we got to show more love. We got to be there more for our children. We've got to show them that they don't have these uncles on the sideline that can enter into their rooms at late nights. They have to know that it's not all right to get beat up, you know, um,
Mm.
and I love you in the morning, because what you show your children, they'll find themselves doing themselves. A lot of young boys and a lot of young girls can't take relationships right now. How many young men and women are in relationships, and the minute they break up with one another, they're popping all these pills or they're drinking themselves to death? The suicidal thoughts begin.
Mm.
We can't let Tom, Dick, and Harry into our houses and let them see us live our lifestyles a certain way. My children didn't witness a lot of men going in and out, and they didn't have no uncles like that. We have to show them how they're supposed to live. We have to show them they need to be reflection of us in a positive manner. We
Mhm.
need to show them. Um, Life throws a lot of curveballs, and you're gonna get hit like one of them big old dodgeballs. You're gonna get hit a lot of times, and you're gonna fall every time. But the important thing about that fall is how you get back up.
Mhm.
Yes, God.
So you got to get back up. The main thing, I guess, with all the young people, they go through all these things. They keep getting hit. They get hit with all these things, from bullying, school, work, um, you name it. They get hit with these things that happen in their lives, and they don't know how to get back up. Well, now you do. You know how to get back up. Number one, you can pray. You can reach out.
Mhm.
There are a lot of people going through certain things that you're going through, and you're never alone. You'll never be by yourself. There's always someone watching. There's always someone there. Just reach out. Swallow that pride, reach out, and know that God wants the best for you. And
Yes,
that would be
yes.
what I have to say for tonight.
Yeah. Amen.
Amen. Miss Allison.
I would
Bring
just
us home.
everything she said. If the idea or thought is death, destruction, or decay, it is not from God. And knowing that, and knowing what He wants for your life, which is good things for you to be a light in this world that is so very dark, doing those things means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. For some, it's watching your words. For some, it's putting down the cigarette. For some, it's putting down the bottle. For some, it's putting down the phone. For some, it's picking up the Bible. It's all different things for all different people. But that consistent prayer that I have is that I can see people as God sees them. And when you do that, you can see that people just need love and they need Jesus and they need a movement of the Holy Spirit in their life to get them in and out of situations that they are what seems to be stuck in. But that's not true.
Yes. And I would say it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
It's
Come on.
okay not to be okay.
Hmm.
But long as you don't stay there.
Don't
Yes.
say. Yeah.
Don't stay there. Parents, it's okay not to have all the answers.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
okay not to have all the solutions,
Hmm.
but don't stay there.
Hmm. And that's
Get
what I told a friend. I said, I asked my girls, what do I do good and what do I not do well? And to be able to listen to what they say means I'm not stuck in my ways. I'm ready to learn. I know I
Yes.
do
Have
not
you
have
teaching
it
them?
all right.
yes. My kids right now reach out to me. I'm like, look, y'all. But and they hit me with some of the craziest stuff, and I'll be like,
Hmm.
okay, so let's talk about this thing. But we do that. We do. We, at
Right.
least we do talk, and it's a healing process.
Yes.
God is a healing process,
Hmm.
but you got to be willing to heal
Hmm.
and to move forward, and make sure you're healing with your family, with your children.
Yes.
Ladies, I appreciate you so very much.
Thank
Y'all
you.
done got me my chest heavy now, so that means I'm full. Um, these are not the last time you will hear from these two ladies. Um, they've been
With joy.
blessed.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's more than my pleasure to have both of
It's an
y'all because
honor.
I
Truly.
love both of y'all, and I'm
Love
glad
you
God
too.
chose y'all for this particular platform.
Mm.
Um, Tomorrow night we finna hit the real stuff. We're going to take back our youth. On
Come
tomorrow night.
on.
Please join
Yes.
back with us. Bring your children. Have your children sit down and watch. Um, we're gonna actually we're starting off this taking back our youth, and I'm gonna tell y'all something. In a couple of days, we're gonna hear from our youth. We're gonna hear from our youth
Yes.
for them to tell us what they need for us to do.
Hmm.
They gonna tell us what they suffering from.
Yes.
Next week we're gonna hear from the youth.
Yes.
And I promise you, it will bless you real well. Real well. Because God has placed some, oh my God, anointing people in this place.
Yes.
Um, so
Amen.
stay tuned. But join us tomorrow or Taking Back Our Youth. We'll have Heather Coleman and Derek Taylor. Ladies, I love you.
Love you.
Love you too.
To everyone, I love you. And there is nothing you can do
You can
about it.
do about it.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.